tuned in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette, and I give my courtesy because that's most important to me, and that is how I greet you. You hear the rain coming down. Don't you feel renewed and refreshed? That's how I feel. That's a beautiful sound. And when you're out in it and it's a little crisp and it falls on your skin, don't you feel a rebirth, a regeneration, a vigor that you didn't have before? Now, don't give it twisted. The sun brings out a whole different energy as well, but you gotta appreciate the rain. And maybe what we talk about most importantly is the blessing of life on this day to experience whatever the seasons are. So I'm so happy that you have chosen to tune in with us today, whether you are watching us on TV 33 or streaming live or Roku or Comcast. You could have been anywhere this morning, but you are here with us. Just want to give a recap. You know, Friday mornings are extra special to us because in addition to you, the wonderful company that we keep in our conversation, we have the Son of Man, the New Nation of Islam, who also, you know, he's like that. I feel like, you know, we're on other stations and you're right here, you have your co-host together. You know, he's here with us, and I can't wait until he gives his insights on the topic that we broached yesterday. And I'm going to give you a recap of what we discussed. I shared with you that I was reading some newspaper articles, and one of them suggested that if we, in essence, I'm paraphrasing, if you will, by John Gallagher, a Free Press article, says the business community is suggesting that we not really talk about the anniversary of the riots, Detroit 1967 riots. Yesterday, I was so fortunate to be able to present to you some clips about the overview of the onset of the riots, why it actually started, what it looked like in our community, specifically on 12th and Claremont. We discussed actually that there was a riot prior to that, the riot of 1943 that a lot of individuals did not know about. I was able to give you a clip on that. You know, that's what we do here. You see how we just get real creative with you and to be able to put an additional image to the conversation. And so with both of those components in play, I asked you, is that what you believe? If you believe that we should downplay what has happened historically in this city to create a different image, the perception then versus the reality. And I asked us, maybe the truth is that we live in that reality and that it hasn't changed. That what we saw and the reason why we saw it in 1943, and then fast forward 24 years, if you will, 1967, what we saw, the reason for what we saw there, blatant in our city, 5 days, and then fast forward to the nation. And we're going to, you can apply it to any riot that has happened. I can't wait because, of course, the Son of Man out of California, LA, the LA riot. We'll be able to talk about that impact. We've seen the documentaries that have been on television about what the riot did to the community, its impact on the community. And I just was thinking, look, that's what we do. We address the what? The symptoms, but the truth is the issue. We don't ever want to get so covered with focusing on the symptom that we miss the real issues, the importance of the conversation. And so in that and thinking about our conversations this morning, I wanted to present it to you as well. Did anyone ever stop and wonder why we were in the riots in the first place? Let that sink in, because if we didn't have the issues which brought about the riots, we wouldn't have this conversation. It wouldn't be important to us to overshadow, maybe push to the side the atrocities that have happened to individuals. And for what? For the gain, for the business of it. And as I presented to you as well, you don't ever hear the Jewish community or anyone telling the Jewish community, don't talk about the Holocaust. Oh, no, that just, that just happened. Leave it alone. We're supposed to be over that. We're supposed to be better than that. That's never the conversation. But as it appears and appeals to every component that has happened, riots, who the majority of people are in that who have been fighting back against an injustice to them, then it causes uproar and then the challenges or the critiques of the environment, the government. But then it's blaming the people. Did you think about that? So let's talk about what Detroit looked like in 1943 briefly. So in 43, is the young black boys were playing down by Belle Isle, and there were some white soldiers, sailors, that were down in that area, and an issue ensued with the young black men, which caused the sailors to chase them up into the community to cause havoc and to wreak turmoil. But did you get what happened? So, and this is from all accounts of the vigils because I wasn't there in 1943. I'm sorry, I can't give a hands-on. But again, a response, a reply, because we fought. So it's just like when you're a little kid and someone hits you or starts the trouble with you, all you can do is wait to get home. I'm running home. I'm going to tell my mom and dad, and then they're going to come out in full force. And so that's kind of how I envisioned that happening, because then the community came out to aid these young men. And then let's add another layer to that, move a couple of years on down. What was happening in 1967? There was a blind pig. A police officer then accosted an individual, which caused chaos in the community. Yet again, we are protecting, we're rallying the troops against an atrocity that was presented to us. And then everyone says, well, Collette, it was a little bit more than that. We had the rumblings of the job market. So we had Southerners, black folk, immigrants coming to the cities for jobs. Then there was a fight for housing. And so there was this uproar because there was a potential change in the status quo. Folks didn't want to share. People had a problem if you had a job and you were trying to come into their communities, quote unquote, and take their housing stock, taking their good jobs away from them. Because again, the perception was that that's not who we were supposed to be. We, I believe, or the perception was that we were supposed to just be only good to be in the cotton field. We were only supposed to be good doing what you told us to do, never living the same American dream as was presented in our Constitution as to what we're all supposed to believe in. But then I asked you, didn't you think there was an irony in that? Because the same individuals that came over to oppress an established country, an established nation of people here, then you come and impose your will and kill out folks and change things based on what you perceived it to be. So the perception was that the first people here were savages, didn't know how to dress, didn't look a certain way, didn't wear their hair a certain way, didn't eat the right types of foods. And so you oppressed, as the colonizers did, oppressed those original people, our ancestry here, and then change the whole form of government to create an ideology that we're all supposed to believe today. But we're still fighting for the same thing. So that was the overview of what I presented yesterday to us, and you all had great feedback, and so I wanted to give an overview, of course, this morning, and to allow Son of Man to gather his thoughts and assessment of the situation, and then he'll be able to chime in. And, of course, callers, I see you all as well, as I promised yesterday, to call me first thing, and I will make sure that we infuse you into the conversation. But I don't want to be remiss, because this is our time with the Son of Man, not allow him to give an opening remark, and then we'll engage us. How does that sound? So, Son of Man, great morning to you.
And good morning to you, Mr. Ramsey. After thinking over what you were sharing with the audience, I have read in the book of Proverbs, the 29th chapter. It says, he that being often reproved and hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that destruction shall be without any remedy. That is a good example of Pharaoh. The next verse says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And that's all the black people have been doing. When I was a youngster, in 65, I was in Los Angeles in Watts. And, most of the parents of us did not allow us to take part in those riots. And it was all basically came to a head after Mr. Detweiler was shot in his car, as I recall. It's been so long ago. But that when you look at a riot, it's just like the what happened with England and America. when the founding fathers who were drafting the Constitution, George Washington and all of them, were talking about going to war, most of the settlers in America didn't want to go to war. Just like when you see a riot, most of the people that you that's in that community were not really involved in it. A riot is like a civil war. War only breaks out when communication breaks down, when people are at their wits' end and cannot seem to get any peaceful redress to their grievances. That's what starts wars. We were brought here and put in this condition just like when the white man went all over the earth, colonizing and conquering people. That's what he was instructed to do when he was made. His maker told him to go out and subdue the earth and have dominion over every creeping thing that keepeth upon the face of the earth. That was told to him, and that was that manifest destiny that he eventually grew into and fulfilled. Most people thought we were calling him devils to make mockery, or because we were, just saying that as like they used to call the police the pig. But that's not why we called him the devil. We called him the devil because that's what Allah revealed him to be. And he had convinced people, white people, they had convinced us in religion that the devil didn't really exist except in spirit form, and God only in spirit form, but not in reality. And yet they gave us a picture after teaching us that Jesus was God in the flesh. They gave us a picture of white people, and not even the same white people. Just gave us a picture of white people with long hair and a robe on and a halo looking thing around their head, and told us that was Jesus, after teaching us that Jesus was God in the flesh. And so they, on the subliminal level, and that's not too, it's almost not even subliminal. They was in the back of our mind, white people was God. And that helped to promote what they was about, which is colonialism, and teaching that they were the supreme being and we were inferior. And in actuality, the black man and woman is the father of all human beings, and these riots and things were just us expressing our dissatisfaction and our being fed up with being mistreated. And we didn't know any other way to redress our issues. So we just burned down local businesses, and which were all owned by white people for the most part. And the Jews, I know in Watts, most of the businesses was owned by Jewish people. But, everybody has seen our condition and never lifted a finger to help us out of it. They just used us. We were, and we still are, a total consumer nation of people. We don't produce any of our own needs. We have to go and buy everything, from toothpicks to shoelaces. That's one of the reasons why I have rethought the opening of a tire shop, and I'm planning on doing something else with that facility over there with our people, because even when they gave us, I guess they heard us talking about it, so they finally decided to give us some tire prices. And then in that, they told us these prices could change without notice. That's just another way of saying once we invest all of the money in putting all of the equipment in there, then they can jack the price up however they want to make us be actually just working for them and making no money ourselves. And so I'm not gonna let them do us like that. I have some other plans that I'll be sharing with you after it's done. These people, they try their best to force you and I into violence. Remember, that's all he has a history of, wars. I mean, when I was young, I learned about the 100-Year War, the 30-Year War. All through their history, war has been their way. So naturally, he would love to force you and I into a position where he is familiar with of how if we fight him on that level, then we have not studied war like him. And he knows that. He knows also that we don't have any means of really defending ourselves in a hot war like that with him. And so it would be foolhardy on the part of our leadership, and it was always foolhardy for us to strap on a gun and go out there talking about fighting him. And then when you say don't do that, then he puts infiltrators among us, or we have foolish people that will tell you, well, you must be a coward or whatnot. It's not cowardly to recognize your limitations. It's intelligent to recognize your limitation. And if any fool can go out and die for his people. The patriot is the one that I remember General Patton. General Patton said this about dying for your country. He said, let's try to see to it that the other one die for his country first. So I said that makes sense. On the level he was talking on. Likewise, it's not. I'm not here to help fight symptoms. In medicine they treat symptoms, and that's what keeps medicine in business. I'm not after the doctor and trying to make him look bad or nothing, because that's the way this society is. I'm not here to treat symptoms. I'm here to go to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is a wicked mind that has not just gained rulership over those who rule us, but they have transferred that wicked mind into those that they have ruled over. For we all went through their school system. That's one of the reasons why we have not been able to undo what was done to us. It's because we are being educated by the very people who did it to us. And then they haven't put anything in their education that will help us to undo what they did to us. We have to have some outside. We have to have, they say it like this, you got to think outside of the box. And that's just another way of saying you have to think outside of the books that they have written. And the only way you can think outside of that, they know the only way that you can do that is that Almighty God had to step in. And that's what has happened. You notice when I'm speaking to you, you never hear me coming to you in the general way that you hear all of these other people who claim to be your leaders. You don't hear me address things the way they do it. I'm after removing the corrupt mind that we have and that they have. For as long as we have that corrupt mind, we're going to always have the corrupt deeds and actions that have us all in this terrible condition. So if you really want to change a terrible situation, you have to go to the root of it. If you want to get rid of oranges, you can't just go around and throw all the oranges away. You got to get rid of the orange trees. Well, likewise, if you want to get rid of injustice, you have to get to the root of it. And the root of injustice is not white people. The root of injustice is the mind that we put in white people that has now been transferred to everybody else. As the book says, as in Adam, all died. That means everybody misunderstood. As the book says, the man that wanders out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So, because of the way that we have been educated by white people, and the way the world has been guided by white people, everybody has misunderstood. We have practiced injustice. We have practiced living wrong. Therefore, we have learned to live life wrong. And that's all you can do when you practice wrong. You learn the wrong way. And you hear people talking about, I've been doing this all my life, just like eating pig. The man said, well, I've been eating this all my life. And yeah, well, just because you've been eating it all your life don't mean that it's right. It just simply means you learn to eat the wrong food. And so, likewise, we learned everything but the way of peace. People in this society have no peace nowhere. Even when it's not white people around, there's no peace in the black community. We don't like to talk about it, but it's the truth. The black community is unsafe. Not because white people per se is there, but the mind that we put in them is in us. And that's what's got to be changed. If we don't change our minds, we are not going to be able to change our condition. And this is why we have all these preachers, we have all these imams, we have all these ministers, and we got all these leaders, and yet our condition gets no better. It gets progressively worse. Because that which needs to be changed is that which we are actually only making worse, which is the minds of our people. We praise people, but look at the leadership standing up giving each other awards while the black community is just run down in a blighted condition, poverty stricken all over America, and our leaders standing up giving each other awards of recognition and all of this kind of thing. Recognized for what? So, I mean, I could go on and on and on. But the riots are the expression of ignorance. That's all a riot is. When people are at their wits' end, don't know what to do, they want to show you that they're dissatisfied, then they go and burn down something, go tear up a bunch of stuff. And then...
Ben, if we can stay right there, because you said something, and I want us to really get the full impact of what you just shared with us. I want to show us a clip. So the man just set the tone, and a lot of times, we stay in our space. We're right here talking about metropolitan Detroit, Michigan, what it looks like. But he presented it to us as well, is that this is a worldwide dynamic. This, specifically in the United States, it didn't just happen in LA. It didn't just happen in Detroit, but it's an outburst for everyone, everywhere. I'm going to show us a clip of what it looks like, so maybe you will not think that you're alone, because maybe we don't want to listen. if we just think it's just us. So the man was eloquent in saying, you got to really realize that if we continuously live in the space of how we were taught and we were taught wrong, it won't change our dynamic. We're going to go to a clip and then we're going to come back. I want to get some of the man's thoughts on that, and then we're going to go to the line.
Are they putting the clip on? Can you put that sound in? No? Brother.
The movement is a rhythm of us. Justice is just a position enough. What's up, God? What's
Okay, you can.
We will be strong. We will be now the every man, woman, and child, even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. Non-roll, E-roll, to become a hero. Facing a future justice, the power of the people. They can be a leader with kings with chains legal. Come to face the kill code under a fall ego. Greatest weapon is to stay peaceful. We believe our music is the touch that we need to. Somewhere in the dream we had it. And the president, now fight the wrongs in history. No one can win a war in the history. The wisdom of the elders and young people sinners. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes see the Lord's word. Lord, come, it will be out. It will be out. One day. We will be
Absolutely. I hope you you really got the gist of the clip, I want to thank Gloria Alachineu, who put a compilation, if you will, of what you just saw and posted that. So thank you so much for that work. I think it's a great overview. And it goes back to the point the Son of Man said, way before wait. If you're dealing with individuals who have dealt with war as a way of life, as a way of existence, remember that timeline that we just showed gave the history of what we have had to endure. And then even more so today, we are still looking at government passing $15 billion to go towards the additional efforts for military and troops and the like. But I don't want us to miss his bigger point, and that's really the reality of our mind. And realizing, again, what we say here, perception for me versus the reality. The reality is that you have to understand where you are, what you've been taught. If what you've been taught has been correct for you, as we clearly see it has not worked to the advantageousness or the advantage of us as Black people in America, we should be doing something different. We should be following someone different. We should be looking to leadership, different leadership. It's, again, you all saw the timeline. This is the same conversations that we have been having. This didn't just start in 1943. It didn't just start in 1967. It didn't. Do you all get what we're saying? We've given you an overview to be able to say, guess what? Our condition has not changed. And so what is the definition of insanity? Consistently doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Just ask. And so the man laid it out there. I think that the clip gave us a great overview of just putting it in truth, not perception. It's truth. That's reality. You saw the footage. You understand what our history has actually been, and it hasn't changed even up to today. To his point of we are having these award ceremonies. Absolutely. We'll get together and do a great dinner, and everybody dresses up, and we're so excited, and we're still living in despair. Stop it, is what I'm saying. Son of Man, thank you so much for that overview. If you like, let's go to the line, shall we?
Okay.
All right. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
How you doing today?
Oh, we're great. How are you? Thank you.
All right. Let's give a shout out to TV33.
Okay.
I was just watching Miss Collette, Mama Ramsey, that's what she said you hear. Local coming out. All of the TV show hosts and all of the personalities of TV33. Again, I'd like to do a last shout out for it. Thank you, Son of Man, for blowing up this the show. We appreciate your viewpoint. Going through the point of the topic of your show, City of Detroit, 1967 till today. Miss Collette, you want to know one of the things in my life that I did not know about? Our grandma, my father's mom, she grew up off of Penguin and Leavenworth. And as a kid from Northwest Detroit, I used to catch the bus to the inner city. And when I used to go to the house, this was like early 70s. It used to be an abandoned, like a park with just nothing but gravel on the ground. Like, you know, you usually see park with trees or grass. It didn't have nothing but like rocks and like a little table in the middle. And every summer, the City of Detroit Civic Program used to give kids free lunches, right?
Right.
It wasn't until 3 years ago that I realized that abandoned lot was the first area of the riots.
Yeah, I knew you were going to.
I didn't know that. I didn't know my grandma stayed right around the block from Reverend C. Franklin's church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But one of the things I do remember as a kid when I caught the bus over here, the City of Detroit had basically had a squash of dope. Whereas in the mid-70s, they was getting in the way of laying it out on the streets for people to get back off of the drug addiction. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is if you look at the climate of the City of Detroit in the early 60s, like you said, it was a boom time. But remember, we were just 10 years during the time of legal segregation. And most of the blacks in our city at that time was like, they grew up with segregation, meaning legally, somebody didn't look like them could obtain what they had and legally somebody could take away what they had. So that's the reason why black business was so prominent back then, because they legally really didn't have that. But they got it. They did everything given. This was the basis of pride of the industry. We didn't have Oakland County, we didn't have Macomb County, we didn't have Western Wayne, but we had the heart of the state.
Okay.
So when it comes down to people outside our community trying to police us, that's what the whole riot was about. So with that being said, it's funny how there's so many people in our community don't mind making money for people that don't look like them because they compensate them. When it comes down to their kids, when it comes down to their loved ones, when it comes down to their neighborhoods and their communities, these same people who they never make money care less about you. That's the purpose of Son of Man.
We appreciate
That's the purpose of different organizations that was based on race. Even though, at the end of the day, if you come across a blind person, right?
Okay.
How does a blind person don't know what you look like?
Right.
That's why black is not a color. It's an experience. And when you look at it from that perspective, I'm a man that's black as opposed to a black man. And that's just a whole big difference in life. Because they can't nobody take away the fact that I'm a man. But people can always describe me for their comfort zone. That's why I appreciate Son of Man. Because one of the things that Son of Man has is, we know that people that look like us were born in an environment of self-hate. So he came up with a plan to deal with that self-hate. Then your TV show, you give the opportunity for people to evaluate positively. That's why you got a great show.
Thank you.
But to go back to the rise, that was I didn't know that you knew about the 1943 riots, which was in existence. The 1967 riots changed our city permanently. Because the way the city came up before 1967 will never go back. Meaning, too many of us, current generational residents, have had a taste of the American pie. These people residents of the city take that look like me and don't look like me know how to get a piece of the American pie. So the people who've been benefiting years off of us, they're going to have to realize them days is over with.
I appreciate you saying that. We appreciate you, 8 Mile. Thank you so much. You know what? Thank you. And now there are a couple of things that are going on, and I'm going to go to the line because I know that I promised I was going to get to you today, and of course I wanted Son of Man to be able to comment on that. I mean, at the end of the day, 8 Mile presents a different perspective. He allows us to look at it from, and I think maybe it's all about perception versus reality. Because at the end of the day, it's about how he views it and presents it of how we see ourselves. I think it goes back to what Son of Man has been saying, is that if we only go by what we were taught, and that is what they believe, how then can we make it better for us? Because their ideology isn't to make it better for us, it's to make it better for them. And if all the businesses that were destroyed in all of our communities during all these time frames outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, but if the majority of all the other businesses were people who didn't look like us, how was it benefiting us? It wasn't benefiting us, Son of Man.
Well, I want to say to the young brother.
Okay.
You notice you still want a piece of the American pie, as you say. That's what I was really saying when earlier. We are never going to be free as long as we have the mind that white people gave us. You don't want freedom. You want a part of the spoils. That's what the American pie is. You're asking for a piece of the spoils of the benefit from the enslavement of your people.
Right.
I don't want a piece of American pie. I want my own country. I want my freedom.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose sight of that. I don't care what you offer me. We keep allowing these people to dictate our thoughts. Even the clip that was shown, it shouldn't have been no music playing behind that clip. It should have been a narration.
And you know what, so I'm sorry, you went out.
I said, even that clip, you notice the clip that was shown, they done put music behind the clip. That was our people suffering. We don't need to hear no music. We need narration telling our young people what happened to us.
Right.
The reason you study things like that is so that you can make sure it don't happen again. Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't even know why we study those, the history of the riots and all of that kind of thing.
Right.
It's like, I'm not interested in going on no sightseeing tour about what used to be here before the riot and all that. That's not important. Okay. What's important is what has changed for us since the riots. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing changed except that we got worse.
Yeah.
In our minds, we are still looking to this white man to guide us. We're still looking to their school system to fix what's wrong with us. We're still looking to the leaders that they put on that. Let me make no mistake. Ain't no black leader that the news media put up in your face. Ain't now one of them fit to lead you. They wouldn't put them up there if they couldn't deal with it.
Right.
You notice now. You see all these during Black History Month. You'll see them. They give you Malcolm. They give you Martin. They give you all of these people. They don't even remind you of Marcus Garvey.
Right.
Nor do they bring up Noble Drew Ali.
Right.
And they sure will not bring up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
And you know, I have to tell you again, young brother, you don't have no other leader that have stood up in front of the whole world and shut their mouth before I got here. You don't hear no white people accusing me of anything. And you don't hear me backing up off of telling them that they the devil.
Right.
I just know the whole story. I know all of it. I'm not here to complain about what's wrong with the black community. I'm here to fix it.
Okay.
And if you would quit just, look, man, we talk and do nothing. And that's the kind of leadership we have. We have a bunch of talkers who got a lot of ideas and no proof that those ideas are worth anything.
Right.
Anybody can come up and give their opinion about what black people should and should not do.
Right.
And if that's all you want for leadership is somebody who got an opinion, well, you go ahead. But don't tell me I'm giving you a view. I'm not giving you no view. I'm giving you the solution to our problem. Not only am I giving you the solution, I am the solution. Because the first thing you need when you're doing anything is not to be distracted by people accusing you of being something else.
Right.
You don't hear no white folks or nobody else come and confront me, accusing me of anything. Mm-hmm. How in the world you gonna if you on a football game, man, and you always playing defense, how in the world you gonna ever score if you always playing defense?
Right. Right.
I'm not on the defensive. Can't no scholar of this world put me on the defensive.
Right.
You said go to religion or whatever, and then you got to go back explaining yourself. I ain't got to go back and explain myself to nobody. These people ain't fit to judge me.
Right.
And as long as you leave yourself in the education of white people always have you on the defensive because you following them. You got all this baggage, this excess baggage, all these vices.
Right.
Can't stop smoking, can't stop drinking, can't stop getting high, can't stop chasing women, can't stop none of the stuff that he done put out there for you. And then you want to stand up talking about you a leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, man, we don't need no more of that kind of leadership.
Right.
We need leadership that's doing, not talking.
Yeah.
That's why I get on Brother Farrakhan and all of them. Look, man, how in the world? I'm gonna say this to you, and then I'm gonna let you come back, cause I know I done made you mad. But know this: when Jesus stood up and spoke, and Moses and David and Solomon and all these men that you heard, you may not believe, but you heard that they were from God. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was from God. Okay. How in the world is a man going to get up and teach behind them? And you ask him, are you equal to Elijah Muhammad? Minister Farrakhan tell you no. And any of these other leaders, they'll tell you no.
Right.
Well, how in the world can you get up and explain to us and be the next teacher for us if you are not equal or greater than the one that was before you?
Great point.
I'm the only one who can come behind them men and explain what they was talking about, which should tell you that I'm equal or greater than them.
Okay. And so with that, son of man, if we can, because you know our time is up, are we expected to continue this conversation with you later on today?
Yes, you can. You sure will. That's why I brought it up. I want to. You see, I love to talk to the brothers who don't mind talking to me. That's manhood.
Yes.
You know, men don't mind talking to each other.
Right.
And before you can get a man to submit and follow you, you have to show him that you deserve him to do that. You deserve his attention. You deserve his allegiance. And the only way you can do that is by reasoning with him, not by threatening him,
right?
But by reasoning with him. I love to argue with brothers like the brother that was just on there. I just can't get him to come in there and talk to me. Because I need a man that will stand for something.
Yes.
I would much rather talk to a man like that he may even take the wrong stand, but at least he took a stand.
Right.
Rather than these people out here that just go whichever way the wind blows. I ain't with that.
Right.
You know, I will discuss my point of view with anyone who wants to talk to me. If they can show me that I'm wrong, I will correct myself. And I expect the same thing from any man that I talk to. If I can show you that you are wrong, then why not just correct yourself and let's get together and go and get our people up?
Yes.
Because that's what it's all about. That's what it's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about me or you. It's supposed to be about, hey, I'm qualified to get this job done. Let me have the job and I'll do it.
Right. Right.
I don't want a job I can't handle.
Right.
But most of our leadership, they want to take the bows, they want to get the awards, and don't have the slightest clue of how to do the job.
You're right. You're right, son of man. That's what it's about. I'm encouraging everyone to make sure tonight now, son of man has already put it out there. He is open. He's consistently shared that with us. He remains open to the lesson, to the conversation, to the correction, so that we will all be better. So you guys got to tune in tonight now.
Thank you, Collette.
Thank you so much, son of man. You all, our first hour is coming to conclusion. As always, it's a blessing to be able to speak with son of man on behalf of the new Nation of Islam, encouraging you to make sure you stay connected and to call in. Call in and have the conversation. You know, we say that's what we want, but then when we are presented with it, then we shy away. And callers don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back at the top of the hour. We're going to finish the conversation. I'm going to sprinkle in a couple other things. You know, we'll keep it going. Stay tuned.
Okay.